Hey, somebody needs to skin the frog legs. You have? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to The Professional Noticer. Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Hey, thank you for making me a part of your week. My purpose here today, and with every show we do, is to play the part of a best friend or a coach. We want to help you live the life of your wildest dreams by giving you access to the greatest mentors the world has to offer today. This week, the Professional Noticer is sponsored by Books for Veterans. The Veterans Administration in Washington, D.C. has asked for 10,000 Andy Andrews books, and I'm personally donating as many as I can, but to reach 10,000, I need your help. What we're able to do to make that easier for you is for every $10 donation you make, a hardback book will be sent to the VA for the veterans, for their families, and for the employees of the VA. That $10 will cover the cost of the book, the shipping, the handling, everything. So whether you can make this a personal gift or a corporate donation, just go to andyandrews.com/veterans. This can be added to a website purchase or done as an individual entry. So thank you very much for your support. Observations and answers, that's what we do here on the Professional Noticer. And we love it when somebody comes to the table with both. And we have that today. We have a person that I have not seen in a long time. She is accomplished on many different levels and has lived a very interesting life so far. I think that'd probably be a good book title for her, Her Life So Far. But, I love writers. You guys know that I have a deep admiration for somebody that can put words together. And songwriters, to me, are even more special because me, I write a book. I got 60,000 words to say what I want to say, and a songwriter has to do it in 2.5 minutes. And our guest today has had songs recorded by Jerry Lee Lewis, Crystal Gale, George Jones, B.J. Thomas, T.G. Shepherd, the Oak Ridge Boys, Ricky Skaggs, just tons of people in the Country Music Hall of Fame. Please welcome Kelly Lang. Kelly, how are you doing?
I'm great. Wow. I need to take you on the road with me. That was a wonderful introduction.
Well, I was an opening act for your husband, and so I'm a good MC too. So you can take me on the road.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I am a busy person. I think, once you realize that you are a creative type person, anything in all arts seems to come a little bit more natural, so writing, painting, all those kind of things kind of fall under the same category in my brain anyway. But it's funny.
I think it's fascinating because there are not many writers, not many really good songwriters that are also great singers. There's songwriters. Even Willie. You got to admit, Willie Nelson, he can write some great songs, and then it's not a great tone in his voice. He's a legend, but
stylist.
Elvis is a voice that you know immediately, and so is Willie's, but for two different reasons. But you have been given multiple gifts. You
thank you.
Sing, you are a songwriter, and you paint. You do oil paintings, but this is not just a hobby for you. You have oil paintings hanging in Oprah Winfrey's house, and in Olivia Newton-John's house, and in Barry Gibb's house. You're the real deal. You're a triple threat.
Oh my gosh. Well, don't tell TG that, but it is, my brother speaking of the oil painting, my brother was a professional oil painter, and I just thought that was his gift. I had the gift of music, and I never questioned it. And TG bought me an oil painting kit one year, and he said, I think you should try this. And I was like, so those that don't know, TG wrote the theme song for Folgers. The best part of waking up, is Folgers in your cup.
Really?
So being that he wrote that, I painted him a little aerial view of a coffee cup. TG, can you grab that for me? I'll show it to Andy.
Yes, dear.
And by the way, she's married to T.G. Shepherd,
Yes,
so
I am. Yeah,
who is the only roller skating football player that I know still
right.
living. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? That's really a cool thing. But anyway, long story short, I painted this, and as is my first painting, when I went to get it framed, the lady says, "Oh, I would love to buy that," and I'm like, "Oh no, you cannot," because this is for my boyfriend at the time. But I painted this, and she asked me to paint her another one,
Wait,
and
wait, wait, wait. Hold it back up. Hold that back up. You did not paint that.
yes, I did. That's my first painting I ever did.
Oh my God. I mean, your first painting, my first painting went on my mother's refrigerator. And
Nice.
and I had to tell her it was a bird.
Oh yeah. But anyway, that led me to, hey, I could make money at this. So I started painting more and more. And um, a friend of mine happens to be Barry Gibb, and his wife and him had beautiful dogs. And one of them that had passed that, in that era time. But I painted their dog for them as a gift. And then they hired me to do all of their dogs. And then Olivia Newton-John saw them, and she said, I need them in my house. And it's just funny. The Oprah thing, I was pitching a show that I had a pilot on to the own company. And the gentleman that got her started many years ago, he says, paint her dog. It would really, be a wonderful thing for her. And so she loved the dog, didn't love the show. You win some, you lose some, maybe. But hey, I can say she's got one of my paintings, so it works, right?
Oh my gosh. That is incredible. Now I'm assuming that you knew you could sing before you figured out how to write.
Well, actually, no. I was 6 years old when. Well, let me go back a little. My
Oh my
dad.
gosh! Your first painting was this coffee cup that looks like it belongs in a museum, and you wrote your first song when you were 6. Okay, keep going.
But patience here. So my dad was Conway Twitty's road manager, and so I grew up around the music business from a little girl. And I remember Delta Dawn was really big at the time, and I was taking a bath, and Delta Faucets was in front of me. This is how kooky my brain is. So I sang Delta Dawn, push for shower, then you're gone. Push up open and you'll see that it will run. Push for C and you will freeze. Push for H and you will burn. Push up both of them and you will be a mixed up person. 6 years old, yes.
Wow.
So that was the beginning. And, being around Conway a lot, I just had this backstage pass to seeing all these fans adoring him and feeling the guitar beats and drum beats in my little tiny girl chest. And I was just so fascinated by this mirror ball that would go around and these people would scream. And I thought, I gotta have some of that. So I don't think I was the greatest of vocalists at the time, and growing into it, I wasn't the most talented, but I honed my craft because I just loved the business so much. And lo and behold, I think my voice has caught up with me, and it's been a journey, really.
My gosh. You mentioned Conway. I just got to say that I did some shows with Conway, and he had what I thought was the most unusual opening that I had ever seen, because I worked with a lot of you guys, and it'd be please, oh, come here, and then the music would start, but Conway, it would be like, please welcome the entertainer Conway Twitty, and he'd go, hello, darling.
I know.
It's like,
Really?
really?
He never spoke a word, it's just song after song. Oh my God. He was very, very quiet and very painfully shy. People didn't know that about him. So it was easier for him to sing than to talk. But he was like an uncle to me. And that was just norm for me to have him at the house,
That painfully shy thing it's a curse for entertainers, because it's like Sturban, Richard Sturban, with the Oaks. Richard, he's this good looking guy and GQ, and he's so shy, but because he's good looking, people think he's kind of stuck up. He's not stuck up. He's scared to talk to you.
Yeah, because I I'm a little shy myself unless I know somebody, of course. So people have accused me of being stuck up too. When reality is I'm either just not I can't see very well, so I either didn't see you or I'm just painfully shy and I didn't say anything. But that is part of the creative thing too. I think people assume since they see you on their televisions, you must be very outgoing, and most artists are not.
My ADD is kicking in here, and I don't mean to get us way off in a ditch, but I did a thing one time with Terry Garr. Remember the actress Terry Garr?
Yeah.
And she was in Tootsie and a lot of things, and she was very very friendly. And then I heard from some other people that, well, she's really stuck up, and I'm like, I seriously, I didn't see that at all. And then I was checking into a hotel one time out in LA, and Terry walked right by me, looked at me, walked right by me, and didn't speak. And I said, Terry. And she turned around and goes, Oh, Andy. And I'm like, she's not
Oh,
stuck up. She's blind.
I
You know?
know. I have the worst vision. I matter of fact, when I was a kid, I was legally blind when I was a little girl, and
Really?
yes, I had surgery to correct that. And then, of course, once it's corrected, then you get a little older, your vision starts reverting backwards again. So, unfortunately, I don't have the best of vision yet again, but that's okay. I can
So,
see pretty good.
so how did you? What really came first, your singing career or your songwriting career?
Singing career, really, more than anything, because I didn't hone in on my writing career until probably mid 20s. And I did Star Search with Ed McMahon and did a lot of things on Nashville Network. I believe you and I were on a Nashville Now show or something.
Right.
And did the Ralph Emery morning show for many years. And I would write here and there, but nothing really clicked with me. I would go to writing appointments, but I don't know, that just didn't seem like my first nature. But the older I've got, I think you live more life experiences and you have more things to say, or life hits you and you go, oh my gosh, I've got to write this down, and I was able to write the whole entire album with Lori Morgan called I Walk Alone. And it was her life story set to music. And because she pulled me in as a writer, it gave me a great deal of confidence to show her some things that I had written in the past. And one which led up to our conversation regarding a new book that I have. I had written a song called I'm Not Going Anywhere 17 years ago, Andy. And I wrote it about a friend of mine that was watching her husband go through he was passing away, and she was the only comfort for him. Although he had hospice, he just seemed to be very stressed out until she said, honey, I'm not leaving you. I'm right here. And so I wrote this song and I played it for Lori Morgan. She goes, oh my gosh, Kelly, that's an amazing song. And that gave me confidence to continue writing. So I kind of put that aside for a while. And 17 or 16 years later, Ascension Hospitals came along and put my song in their national commercial. And that's opened up a lot more doors for me. As a matter of fact, I've gotten more cuts from other artists because of that commercial being played so often.
Wow.
Kind of a
And so,
backwards thing.
yeah. And has there been a time, like, I am in awe of people who write songs. I mean, I am in awe of you and Chris Christopherson and Jimmy Yeary,
Wow.
Anthony
To be
Crawford.
mentioned in that same category. Thank you, Andy.
Well, I am in awe of you because I, and I read something the other day that I thought was very interesting. Do you know what Johnny Cash, Paul McCartney, John Lennon, Bob, who's the answer my friend is blowing in the wind?
Bob Dylan?
Bob Dylan and Jimmy Buffett have in common? Do you know what they have in common?
No telling.
when they were asked who is your favorite songwriter of all time, all of them said Gordon Lightfoot.
Oh, wow. What a
And
brilliant mind. Of course they
yeah,
were with him.
and so I am in awe of somebody, and I listen carefully to the lyrics that you do, and like in Gordon Lightfoot's song, "The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald," he said we might have they might have capsized, they might have dove deep and took water, and all that remains the faces and the names and the wives, the sons and the daughters. I listen to that and I think, did you write that? Were you alone when you wrote that? Were you looking for somebody to high five when those words came out of you? And so, can you remember a moment that you wrote something that you went,
Well, I
wow,
will tell you this. After I wrote this particular song I'm telling you about, I'm Not Going Anywhere, 3 months after I wrote this song, I had been diagnosed with breast cancer. And I was just dating TG at the time. And, TG, he didn't have to stick around. We weren't engaged. We weren't married. He could have just decided at that moment that that was the perfect time for him to take off. One day he came into my apartment or condo, and I didn't realize that he was there. I had let myself be very raw. I had not shown anybody my bald head or my no eyebrows or anything at that time, especially not him. I didn't want to be, somebody that was really not attractive for him at this point. And he caught me crying and sobbing, actually wailing, and he wrapped me up in a white terry cloth towel or a robe and pulled me down on his lap, and he started kissing my green bald head. And he says, baby, I love you. I'm so sorry you're going through this. And I said, TG, it's just best for you to go. I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. And he says, Kelly, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. I'm in love with you, and I'm not going anywhere. So he shared my same words back to me that I had just written. And that was a moment that it was just like a vortex. I was like, I needed those words so badly. And from that moment on, he went to every appointment with me. And he even sat in MRIs with me and held my hand and sang to me while I was going through MRIs. And, just to have somebody by your side, the words don't describe actions. I think actions speak way louder than words. So, but that particular song was really, I was high-fiving myself at the time because I needed to hear it. It was very special.
wow. Now you have a book. Tell me about the book.
I
Tell me
did.
about the book.
Well, during my breast cancer journey, I was 36 when I was diagnosed, and I had little girls. They were 5 and 9. No, they were 9 and 13 at the time. And I I just kept thinking, oh, this is just going to be a really bad ending. I'm just so depressed about this. So I went to the doctor, and I said, how bad is this? And I said, is this Hallmark movie bad where I need to do a video or, she goes, yeah, you'd be good to write notes to your kids. And I'm like, oh my God, I was just teasing
Oh,
with her,
oh,
and she did entice me to write down notes. So I kept a journal kind of thing of all the questions that I had or specific things that I went through. And I just put the notes away. After a while, I was like, I don't want to talk about it or see or think about it anymore. So fast forward to the pandemic. We were cleaning out the garage. It's the first time I ever got TG to do anything around the house. He had no excuse at this point. So I'm like, can you please help clean out the garage? It was a great thing because I found all those notes, and a friend of mine, she said, Kelly, I dreamed that you wrote a book and it really helped a lot of people. And I said, well, that's weird because I found all these notes in the garage about my breast cancer story. She said, that's a perfect starting place. Start there, go backwards to, how you began, and then go forward to what have you learned and how can you help people? And so we came up with my book, I'm Not Going Anywhere, entitled after the song that I was sharing with you. And it's the one thing I'm excited about, Andy, I think you will find interesting. After every chapter, there is a QR code that you can actually use your phone and scan with your phone camera, and it will take you to videos that correlate to what you just read. Like there's
Oh
videos of me on
my
Star
gosh.
Search. Yeah, there's videos of me just talking about doctor's appointments or my relationship with TG. And I was really, see, that's how I felt about
What a great idea. I've never heard of that being done in a book.
bam. Now you have.
Oh my gosh.
It's a whole level of interacting differently with your fans, Andy, and it's the way to. I'm a visual person. I love photos, and I couldn't cram enough pictures in this book because I had some really special ones. But it gave me the opportunity to take it to another level and show people physical video and get to know me on a personal level if they'll take the time to look into those. And might I say, my dear friend, Dame Olivia Newton-John wrote the foreword for my book, and she's a fellow breast cancer survivor too. So it's been a really special journey, and I've received some beautiful, heartfelt letters from people all over the world that have read it and said that it was encouraging to them and exciting to see that life, it's I looked at it as most people could look at a cancer diagnosis as maybe a death sentence,
Right.
but I chose to look at it as my life sentence. And I lived bigger and bolder and more appreciatively. And I hope that that is conveyed in my book properly, and that people will have the encouragement to burn the good candles and use the good sheets and eat on the good china now, because we may not be here tomorrow.
Yeah, my mom passed away from breast cancer.
Oh, Andy.
And so this is an important book to me. Now
Yeah.
I know, and we want to put a click a connection on the show notes to the book. But and I know we can get this book anywhere, but tell us where you would prefer we get this book.
Okay, I mean, I'm the kind of person I like to hold a book in my hand, instead of
Right.
the ebooks.
Me too.
And I love an autograph copy like none other. So if you go to kellylang.net, I will autograph a personal autograph for people, hardback and paperback. And then we've also got it on Amazon, and that's a hardback, paperback, or Kindle.
Okay, but let's go to kellylang.net. Let's
Yeah.
go to kellylang.net. Let's get the hardback, and let's also, this book is going to be awesome. And so, I mean, it has QR codes. You're getting a book and a video and an audio. And so let's go to kellylang.net. Let's get the hardback autographed. Go ahead and get another one, because you're gonna want to give this to somebody, and to be able to have, because we all meet people all the time that are touched by breast cancer. I mean, whose family has not been touched by this? And so to be able to have a book like this one to give to somebody that is autographed by the author, I mean, come on, you guys, get two extra.
I was
And
so excited today. I was on Facebook and I saw where Charlene Tilton of Dallas, little Lucy Ewing,
Yeah.
she shared my book all over the Dallas fan sites. I was like, oh my gosh, she read it and felt, compelled to do that. And I was like, wow, you never know where something is going to affect someone, it's really fun.
Well, we just reconnected this week. I mean, after talking to TG, and so I haven't had the opportunity to read it yet. But this will go to the top of my stack, and
Thank you.
I cannot wait to read it. If you could pick a favorite song that you had written, and I know you would say I'm not going anywhere probably, but what would be one that, like I have the best-selling book that I have is The Traveler's Gift, and the next best-selling book is The Noticer. Way down on the list somewhere in sales is The Heart Mender, but that's my favorite book that I've written.
Okay.
And
Why is
so,
that your favorite?
well, I think the story and the theme of forgiveness. I see people read that book and their lives. I had a guy tell me one time. He ended up sitting at my table at this event and found out that I was the guy who wrote this book, and And so afterwards, he and a younger man, this guy was about 70, and a younger guy who was like 45 or 50, were standing there, and they introduced themselves, and he said, "So you wrote The Heartmender?" And I said, "I did." And he said, "Well, this is my son, and somebody gave me that book, and they gave my son that book, and
Mhm.
neither of us knew the other was reading it, and we had not spoken to each other in 11 years. And after reading that book, we're together." And so
Oh,
that book, it is something special, and the story is great, and so I just like it better. And so, what song would you look at and you go, "I wish everybody would hear this"?
well, there's two. There's a song called "Nights Go On and On," and it's just weird. It's it's just so weird. The first line is "Blue is just a color until you feel it," and
Wow.
it's the most poetic thing I think I've ever written. And one of the lines, it reminds me of something Bobby Braddock would write. It says, "The heart is just another beating organ, keeps you alive until it has been broken." It's a very weird, twisted way of looking at things. And I like that song a lot. And there's another song that I like, that I wrote, and it's on an 1111 album. If somebody's on here and wants to look back at my old catalog, actually, these two songs are on the album 1111. This song that I like the most personally is "When I'm Gone." And because because when I wrote it, I was mad at TG because I really, really wanted to get married and he just wasn't there yet. And I'm like, you know what, buddy? When I'm gone, you're gonna really regret this. So it was such a raw feeling, raw place where I wrote it from, and it makes me cry, every time I hear that. And I don't know, it's too personal probably for somebody to understand that, but I think if you love somebody that much, you really will get it.
And if you know that story behind that, see, you say it's weird, twisty, turny. Jimmy Yeary, he's a guy who wrote "I Drive Your Truck." He wrote "I Called Mama" for Tim McGraw, and Jimmy told me something one time that I've never forgotten. He said, "Andy, everything has been said." He said, "So we figure out a different way to say it, and
Mhm.
we figure out a way to feel it instead of hear it." And he said, "I can say I loved my daddy, and you know what that means." He said, "But when I say I love the man who taught me how to fish,
Mhm.
that's a different thing." And I've always remembered that. And so when you talk about those weird, twisty words and a different description, a
Yeah.
different way of thinking, that's what you
There's
guys do.
another song I wrote called "If You Knew," and it was like, if you knew it was the last time you'd taste your mama's cooking, but you'd savor every bite and ask for more. So there's different ways of saying how you love somebody and how you would miss them. If you knew it was the last time it's just talking about, like, if you knew, how would you do things differently? If you knew
Right?
that was an angel sitting there on the side of the road holding up the sign, would you let him in and you take him home, or would you pass him up and close your window up? So it's all about that kind of feeling. So that's on that 1111 album as well. It's an older album, but it's some of my favorite songs that I've been involved in. So check it out. I'd love for you to see it.
Wow. So, the idea, and you're not a triple threat, you're a quadruple threat, because
Oh,
the painter, the songwriter, the singer, the author. And so,
Andy, I've got to share something else with you because you'll appreciate this.
tell me.
I also have an alter ego named XOXO, and she has been on Huckabee before. And I am, you would not recognize me. I look nothing like this, but you have to go to XOXO Country on YouTube and check out these videos. She's
Okay.
really more like me than this is. And it's the most rude person, and she says everything wrong, and she accuses people of things. there's videos of me like with Ricky Skaggs in the grocery store, and Lori Morgan and William Lee Golden of the Oak Ridge Boys, Scott Hamilton on ice. And it's just, look it up. It's so silly, but that's how I enjoy the type of humor that XOXO is. So that's another one of my parts of the pie.
I am gonna see that now. When you go and approach William Lee and Ricky and Scott, do they know it's you?
Oh yeah, they'll know it's me, but they're more fond of EXO than they are of Kelly Lane.
Because, and the reason I asked that, I every time I see Ricky Skaggs somewhere or think about Ricky or hear one of his songs, Ricky and I were doing a thing one time together, and we ended up well, it was a cruise. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah.
And so we ended up one of those private islands where they dump 2,000 people to be private, on an island. And my wife and I were wading around in this water that was about, I don't know, about waist deep and very clear water. And there's a million people around us, and we're kind of thinking, we're gonna go back to the ship. And this guy is like snorkeling, and he's like snorkeling close to us, and like too close. I mean,
in your bubble, huh?
Yeah, where you're kind of going, come on, and you back away, and then he keeps coming, and he just like nudges me, and I'm looking at my wife, it's like, oh, what is going on? And finally, this guy comes up, and his hair is all over his mask, and he says, "Do you like cheese?" And we've all been approached by people who we don't know what they're talking about.
Oh, yeah, that's what EXO is like.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been approached by people. I can't tell you how many times I've had people say, "I just loved you on Hee Haw," and I'm like, "Yeah, thanks. I've never been on Hee Haw in my life." But this guy comes up out of the water and goes, "Do you like cheese?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I like cheese. What kind of cheese do you like?" And I'm like, where can I go? And this guy gets closer to me, and I step away, and he goes, "I like Kraft cheese." And I'm like, I'm just like, please, God, just open up a hole and suck me in. And and then this guy takes off his mask, and it's Ricky. And I'm like,
no way.
Oh my God. I said, I wanted to hit him, but every time I think of Ricky Skaggs, Mr. Country Music Hall of Fame, I always think, do you like cheese?
That is so like him, that people think he's some serious, very, very straight-laced guy. He's got a great sense of humor.
Oh my gosh.
I was dressed up in this god-awful, it's a jet black wig, little red cowboy hat, every leopard zebra print you could possibly put on. And I met him as a fan, stalker kind of person in the grocery store. And he had toilet paper in his cart. And I go, "Ricky Skaggs, you use toilet paper?" It's so stupid, Andy. You have to see him. I mean, you have to be in the right frame of mind.
We've got to link. Hey, make sure we link to XOXO in the show notes. All right. We got. So one last question. With somebody whose bucket is as full as yours, is there anything on your bucket list?
What a great question. Yes. As a matter of fact, I have just begun, and I would want to lean on your advice on this. I have been doing speaking engagements, and I'm really loving them because it gives me the opportunity to not only speak, help people, talk about my book, but it also allows me to put the physical with the books and the singing and comedic parts. I have a little bit of video of EXO with Huckabee on there, and it's helping you reach hearts. That's my big goal, is to reach hearts. And fame and fortune, that's just the part of what we do, obviously, but the reaching of hearts and letting people know that they're not alone, and there's that, somebody cares about them, really matters to me. And I'm hoping to do more speaking engagements this next year and help more people.
Okay. Well, then you and I must talk. All
We
right.
must.
TG has my cell phone, and and I will connect some way, but let's talk because I can help. And
I would
I
love that.
listen. I would be honored to help you get in front of anybody. So
Well, thank you. I feel like it's just a natural next step for me. I feel very comfortable in front of a crowd to do that and share my story and it really it's more fulfilling to me than just, hey, here's my new album. It just
right,
makes a difference.
sure.
You can really connect with somebody.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your time today. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you just spending the time with us. This
Well, it's a highlight of my day. Are you kidding? I
well,
loved it. Thank
I don't know
you.
about that, but I do appreciate you being here. Give our love to TG, and you and I will talk very soon.
I would love that, Andy. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank
All
you
right.
for all you do for people.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, harnessing common sense and wisdom to plow through challenges all the way to an answer for you. And I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing that tiny bit of mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. A snipe hunt for the cast and crew provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional funding provided by crazybranding.com. Friends and neighbors, please check the box on these 3 questions. Are you a small business owner? Yes. Would you love to have radio and television commercials to air locally? Yes. Do you have the budget to record and film radio and television commercials? No? That's where crazybranding.com has your back. We have templates already created and can insert your photograph along with specific information to craft a commercial that appears to be personalized and one of a kind. Is your name Larry? Well, now you are Crazy Larry. Do you own a gas station? No, you own a petrol emporium. Are you having a sale? No? Let crazybranding.com ramp up that language as well. From a description of your location to the time you've been in business, from the hours you open and close to the services you offer, crazybranding.com has a template to fit your needs. Simply contact us, fill out a brief questionnaire, and the next thing you know, you'll be on the air with a classic like this. It's finally happening, and it's happening at Crazy Larry's Petrol Emporium. Do you need gas? Drive over now, because if anybody has gas, it's Crazy Larry on the western slope in the nice part of town. From way before daylight till way after midnight, Crazy Larry's red neon gas pumps can be seen for miles around. Coffee for 10 cents, donuts for a nickel, and gas for $1 a gallon. Head there now to Crazy Larry's. Our prices are insane. Crazybranding.com, a subsidiary of the Ray Charles Driving School.